What's good, family? Welcome to another episode of An Honest Conversation about hip-hop. I'm yours, D. Moraney, a.k.a. Hip-Hop O-Head, a.k.a. Hip-Hop Uncle Phil. And tonight with me, I have the one and only...
It's your boy, son Kapone, the greatest rapper never know. Shit, we in the building, man.
Yeah, man, chilling on this Friday night, getting ready to get into the weekend. On Monday, you know, you can always find us on Big Bad Radio straight out of Philly. Go ahead and download that Big Bad Radio app and make sure you get laced with episode every Monday morning, 7 a.m., 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Shout out to all the other podcasts that's rocking with Big Bad Radio and all the new artists that they break at bigbadradio.com. Salute to y'all. So, son, man, another kind of wild, not crazy as it was last week in hip-hop, but just a lot of miscellaneous shit that went down. A lot of shit we expected to be talking about from last week that didn't happen this week. Ye was supposed to drop his album. Supposedly it was supposed to come out yesterday. Now they're saying it's coming out today at 8 o'clock, which also coincides with the Kanye West King or Jesus is King experience. I guess they have it somewhere in Detroit at a movie at some sort of amphitheater or some sort of like concert hall where you buy your tickets. You're going to be able to sit down and you're going to be able to experience whatever Jesus is King or King is Jesus, whatever it is. So we talked about all of his antics possibly being a part of a rollout, and now with screenings of an experience, because that's what they're calling it, the Jesus is King experience, and his album being pushed back, and all these people tweeting out at certain times that, hey, this is coming, official I guess social media members that he's selected to go ahead and basically promo the album before it drops. I mean, how are you feeling now that it appears that this was more of a rollout than anything else?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it went as smooth as it possibly as it possibly should. I mean, as much influence and everything that he had, everything should have been, you know, laid out and mapped out properly. So I just think they kind of clusterfucked it right now and just trying to, you know, Kanye try to get everything so right and have it his way and execute it. But, you know, the execution he's probably got about a D- on it.
Do you think, because we talked about what kind of effect it was going to have on good music, so let's think of it in a larger scope, you know, the Def Jams and the people that, you know, he's signed to. I mean, do you think they're ready for this Kanye West gospel record? Do you think that they believe it's going to be successful? Because he's still, you know, earlier he was trying to get out of his contract. You know, he last year he said, I'm going to retire so I can get out this slavery contract that you have me in. And then he goes and spends a summer where he works on projects that aren't really sexy to a label. You just, hey, this is a good summer, whatever, we putting out these 6 or 7 joints. None of them did particularly well, right? Some of them were critically acclaimed, but none of them did particularly well in terms of today's landscape when it just comes to hip-hop. So again, I mean, do you think some of these delays or the way that he had to roll this out was because you think maybe the label wasn't supporting a Kanye West gospel record?
It possibly could be, you know, and you know, he's trying to control his own destiny, and I mean, trying to make chicken salad out of chicken shit, you know what I mean, and putting it together. So from the looks of it, then obviously it looks like the label really doesn't have too much to do with it since it's so unorganized. I think they would have a better team around it and help them lay it out, you know, in a much more efficient manner.
Right. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, I mean, if it comes out today, what it sounds like, how it's received. People were pissed that it didn't drop last night at midnight. So it tells you that there are people who want to hear hear this record. Now, it could be for 2 reasons: to really praise the music, or you have a segment of society who are going to hate the shit out of it. You know what I mean? The young boy, the baby, dropped his record, and you know, he dropped it, I think it was yesterday, and he made the mistake of saying, hey, this is going to be as big as a Carter 3. And to a certain generation of hip-hop, that's a big, Carter 3 is a big record. So to compare yourself to, hey, this is going to be the Carter 3, and then it comes out and then everybody's expecting that, and maybe it's not the Carter 3, you know, that can, in today's society, when it comes to our music and the fans who consume it, that can be something tough to get over. You know, the tweet that comes back out, the reminder that it, you know, it isn't as big as record as it was. And do you think that if this gospel record comes out and doesn't do what people expect it to do, that it's a wrap for Kanye musically?
Yeah, it's gonna be a rap for Kanye. Got way more on the line than the baby. And with the baby, I don't think that was a bad move by the baby, because the cats that are listening to him are really not the Wayne generation.
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually pretty smart the way that he went ahead and advertised that, because he can go ahead and bring that Wayne generation to listen to his shit. You know what I mean? And whether they like it or not, the motherfuckers went and listened and gave him some streams. So he might have got a cool couple 100,000 streams off of that statement alone. But with Kanye is not trying to snatch or coexist the generation. Kanye got his stands, that have stuck with him, since he's been introduced to the industry. And I mean, they're dedicated, man. They are not leaving. They are not leaving Kanye. But I know that thread is getting thin. Mm-hmm. It's like how much mediocre music can you put out and continue to ride with him as an artist when this shit is just getting marginal as he's going along.
Do you think he gets a genius pass where like you can put out no, I mean seriously, because I feel that there's a lot of people when they put out some bullshit. I think Kanye's one of them. M's another one. And Kendrick, Cole. I mean, I like Cole, but I've heard people say, nah, it's some bullshit. And then the hardcore stans will then reply with, well, because it went over your head. Mm-hmm. It's too genius for you. You're not there yet. Shit. So do you think that Ye gets that pass? Everything he drops, it's just like, if you don't like it, well, you didn't understand what he was doing, or if you got to go back and listen to it a certain way, or understand, what he was really saying on the record. I mean, do you think Kanye is lumped into that group of people who can just put out whatever they want to, and their core fan base is going to hold them down, and everybody else is just batshit crazy for not understanding it?
No, I don't think so. I mean, with Kendrick, I think Kendrick's probably the king of that right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the concepts and
I don't see how Damn was a classic. Yeah. That shit to me is still crazy.
But Kendrick, that's what carried Kendrick. Oh, you didn't understand it, or you know what I mean? Like
loyalty.
Yeah. What is it?
I want to be with you.
Yeah, I want to be with you.
Yeah, there's a lot of suspect.
I want to be with you.
There's a lot of suspect records on that, but to people, that's his best album.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, but that over your head shit, Kendrick is known for. But like I said, man, Cat's been riding this Kanye wave forever, bro. But I don't know what beach the shit's called, but it's nicknamed Baby Beach out here, and that's where the mamas take the babies, because the waves are little. Well,
right.
Kanye's career is Baby Beach right now. Yeah, like it's safe for the kids to go wading and shit. Nobody's gonna go in the undertow. So
damn.
How much can you defend him? Like Kanye ain't went over our head since Rhymefest was pending. You know what I mean? So they can't defend him like that, and you really don't hear that with Kanye comparisons. You know what I mean? It's just some people feel he have it and some people don't, and unfortunately it's just the majority of them feel that he has it. But Kanye is like our hip-hop Hulk Hogan, you know what I mean?
Oh shit,
you know what I mean? Like,
so overrated?
Not overrated. He's just so much of an image that you anticipate him for him to win every time. You know what I mean? You got the young athletes and shit like that are far superior. But because of the industry and the familiarity of him being in the industry so long, you're gonna stick with what you know. So I think with Kanye, he's definitely the Hulk Hogan, and they just kind of carrying on, and they're gonna let him wrestle until he's 50 and flabby. You know what I mean?
No, I like that. That's a good analogy, man. Because I feel, to me, to piggyback on that whole wrestling analogy with some of these artists, I guess Drake would be the John Cena. He's always put in a position to win. You know what I mean? He is the face of this new hip hop shit, mainstream, hip hop shit. You don't know if he's a good, he's a good guy but acts like a bad guy type of shit. Yeah. And speaking of Drake, I was reading earlier today that and Ye, Don C's, Ye goes. Don C's a very prominent figure in Chicago, and Kanye and Don C go way back. Don C helped put Kanye in the position that he's in, and Don C is known in Chicago. So earlier today I was reading that Kanye's house was Drake's house was vandalized or broken into in his OVO store. I don't know where that's at. I don't know if that's in out in the Malibu area or whatnot. They were both vandalized and broken into once word got out that Drake was creeping with Don C's woman. And so what was it? I don't know. 2 weeks ago, Drake was rocking the "Ye Has Been Reborn" shirt or whatever, stepping out the whip or whatever. So Drake is on that super petty shit. And outside of his, I guess, connection with Jay Prince, at some point, I hope it doesn't happen, but the shit he's doing it has to bubble up and at one point get addressed. Is he just going to continue to do this dick shit and get away with it?
Of course. You know what I mean? Because he can. You know what I mean? Shit. We got the biggest dick running the country, and we ain't did shit about that. So, hip hop ain't gonna, be no different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is the generation of spoiled motherfuckers. You know what I mean? And entitlement. And unfortunately, Drake is entitled. And I think that with us older heads, that's why we don't relate to Drake as much, because of him being entitled and coming up a way. He doesn't come from the struggle, and I think that's with hip hop, man. You gotta feel where an artist is coming from in an artist persona, and I think that as far as old heads, that's our disconnect. So all these little gay ass kids rocking skinny jeans and shit like that. That's why they fuck with Drake. You know what I mean? They part of this sensitive, entitled. I can do whatever I want, but somebody press, I'm gonna call Jay Prince or I'm gonna call Mama, and Mama's gonna come out here and diffuse shit. You know what I mean? So, he's gonna keep getting away with it until he unfortunately crossed a real one. I got a theory: you fuck with another dude's woman, you better be able to whoop his ass, and that's my game right there.
Shout out to the baby mamas. I was waiting for you to sneak a baby mama reference in there, and you did that. You a fool. It's just weird, man. This whole Drake Kanye whole situation. I mean, this obviously is deep, and it goes back allegedly to when Kanye directed the "Best I Ever Had" video and the animosity that they've had since then, and how Kanye had produced a record for Drake and left the audio, left the vocals all fucked up and did some other shit. And so Ye is obviously, for whatever reason, had some issue with Drake. Who knows what that stems from? Does that stem from past relationships with Kim K? And if that does, then there's a whole bunch of people you should be beefing with at this point. You know what I mean? So that'll be weird to see how that plays out. And for Drake to kind of take shots. I mean, I guess he doesn't believe that Kanye is saved or whatever the terminology is committed himself to the Lord. I don't either. But for him to continue to take shots is just he's a petty cat, man.
Well, of course, you know what I mean. But he knows Kanye's not gonna jump. You won't see him take shots at fucking Havoc or some shit like that. Like Drake know where his boundaries is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Drake is like that girl that, hit me, motherfucker, hit me. She might say that shit 3 times, but she know when to stop. When it gets serious. Once them shoulders get gripped. You know what I mean? Like I was just playing, baby. You know what I mean? That's how Drake is. So he won't press nobody that's that's serious. You know what I mean?
So Rakim was on a Sirius satellite show earlier, and I do apologize for not knowing what the show was. But big shout out to one of our listeners, Jason, man. He tagged me in this post. I saw it earlier and had put it on the Honest Conversation Hip Hop page, or you can find us on Facebook, an Honest Conversation about Hip Hop Podcast. Go ahead and follow us on Facebook. Episodes drop there first and then everywhere else after the fact. But Rakim was on the show and was asked by the radio host or the satellite host, whatever, the host of the show, if it was true that MC Search had been asked to help write for Rakim. And this was in reference to a DJ Vlad interview where Search was on Vlad and said that, yeah, he was asked to write for Rakim. Rakim didn't like it, but he did it anyway type of shit. And man, Rakim was heated. Rakim was like, man, Search, if you said that shit, I'm going to punch you in your mouth. And I believe Rakim just from the frustration and the anger.
The reaction,
like, how dare you tarnish my legacy? And I could only think about how many other times that question has been asked in the same form to other artists, you know, the Drakes, the whoever, you know, you got ghostwriters, and there's never that anger. Like, nah, man, I write my own shit, you know. It's always like a very subtle denial, and that's the difference between a real MC and, you know, these rap artists. So you're an MC. Is there really no bigger disrespect to your craft than to somebody tell you that? I try to think about that. I couldn't think of anything that was bigger than you use a ghostwriter. I just couldn't think of one.
Well, not because of that. Just saying your creativity and everything that you've ever brought to the table has been, you know, mapped out for you. Yeah. You know, so it's like you were following instruction. You were following instruction and carrying out, you know, somebody else's, you know, life work. You know, I mean. It's crazy, man. Straight Milli Vanillis and shit.
Right, and I think, and maybe I'm wrong, and let me run this by you, but do you think it's just the difference in the generations as far as guys from our era, we wanted to be the best. And I think, I'm not going to just say the kids today, I'll say the generation before them, it was about being the richest. So like whatever you had to do to get the money, you went and you got the money. In our heyday, before us, and even the generation after us, you want to be the best on the mic. You know what I mean? And that's all you really cared about. And now that is flip-flopped. So I think that's now the reason you get the or when that conversation comes up, you either have people say, yeah, that's my dog, he helped me write A, B, C, and D, or you get the people who are just like, you know,
pissed off.
Yeah, pissed off, you know. So salute to Rakim. I think more old heads need to come out the woodwork and do terrestrial radio interviews more often. You know, a lot of these YouTube joints and a lot of these shows that stream and are basically video shows are looking for people who are more popping. But I think in, you know, the larger markets, the LAs, the Chicagos, you know, the New Yorks, places like that, I think the old heads need to frequent these stations and get that time to be able to tell their story, because you know, he's touched on a lot of shit. The beef with Eric B, he killed the rumor that he did not write Summertime. He says that, hey, that sounds, it was my style, it wasn't my flow, I hear it, but I didn't write it. So I got to find out who did. If that was Will Smith, maybe Will Smith was channeling his inner Rakim, because I believe forever that was.
If you listen to it, and you know what, man, I just think, you know, old heads do good business, and I think he probably did, but I think just to save face and, you know, not diminish anything, man. Fucking character, you know what I mean? Yeah. Character is something that we fucking had, that we carry with us, you know, to this day. You know what I mean? And he's not going to demean Will Smith. I think that.
So you think he's just being?
I think he's just being humble.
He's being humble,
and he's protecting. You know, shit. He probably made a lot. He's probably, the majority of his income is off of that fucking, you know, that verse, because or the verses.
I was trying to think about it. He doesn't tour much. I mean, he's done some stuff in the past. You know, he hasn't released too much new music. The book is out now, and that's the reason he's doing this tour. But, you know, Sweat the Technique, he's got some, you know, I'm trying to think of what records, you know, are those records that are constantly being downloaded, constantly being played, being used. The ways that people make money now in this current, you know, climate or whatever. I'm trying to think about those. No, I know that, but that's what's outside of that. Let's say Summertime he didn't write. How was he getting his paper? I mean, he wasn't.
Maybe appearances or shows.
Very short run as a group. So it wasn't like they was out there doing 100 city tour dates and shit like that. You know what I mean? They weren't going triple, quadruple platinum. That's a question that, you know.
You know, maybe he's probably still writing for cats that, you know, who knows?
Yeah. I mean, I haven't heard anything that sounds like him.
Yeah.
You know, true, but I definitely want to check the book out, man. He talks about a lot of stuff. He talks about him being younger in the streets, hanging out with cats that were in college and stuff like that, doing a lot of dirt, and then just, you know, realizing that wasn't for him and transitioning and completely changing the person who he is. So we just have too many OGs in the game that can really tell some terrific stories and really give us some examples of early hip-hop and some of the mistakes they made that still apply to some of the shit that's happening today. maybe the platforms are different and the rate at which things happen are different, but it's still the same game regardless. You know what I mean? The music business hasn't changed that much. It's just the different forms of media and shit like
more
that.
Accessible.
Yeah. So Mr. Hernandez, Daniel Hernandez, aka Tekashi 6ix9ine. So
Tell him.
Soulja Boy, tell him. It is reported he's going to turn down witness protection so he can return to making music. There's a whole lot. His driver, has admitted to, I guess, cooperating with the federal government. I guess he got picked up. He got picked up in an ICE raid, and I guess in turn for him not being deported or whatever, he was the one wearing the wire. So he was catching a lot of this information. You know, that's how they got video of the kidnapping and shit like that. They were able to get him in there. Now, on one of these tapes, it's alleged that Shotty claimed, Tekashi's manager at one time, claimed that he shot 5 people in one day. So then I thought about that, and I'm like, so the government had that information, but yet this cat, Shotty, only got sentenced to 15 years. So 5 attempted murders, let's say. They got you for the shooting at the Barclays and the one at the restaurant and all this other shit, and you're only doing 15 years? Now, if the driver's telling, Tekashi's telling, likelihood that Shotty told to avoid, that type of time. What do you think, son?
I don't think so. I don't think so. And I mean, with him saying that he shot 5 people, they don't have locations and shit like that. It's going to be hard to kind of pin where the fuck he was shot at unless they had the forensics and the bullets and from the same gun. And hopefully he didn't use the same gun to where they can pin it to him later.
Right.
But I just don't think that they have all the pieces together for them to press charges. And plus, I mean, with attempted murder is not a federal case. That would be more of a state case.
So possibility he gets tried for those outside.
I mean, they get motherfuckers like that. They let them do that.
Well, that'd be interesting to see if he really didn't tell. Because if they have that evidence, they might turn that over to the state government, and the state government now investigates that.
And then when he get home, and they might hit him. Yeah. They might hit him once he get home, and go straight to the state. I've seen cats get done like that.
So do his 7 and then do his 7 in the feds and come home and go right to the state. Damn.
Yeah, so they'll double up on him. You know what I mean? He ain't out of the woods yet. You know what I mean? Yeah. The feds got him, so it just depends on what the state want to do and how they want to press charges. But
I wonder how much longer this investigation is going to continue to go. I mean, do you think this is the end of the Treyway? 9 Trey Bloods or Treyway? You think this is the end of it?
This is how it usually happens. Is you get the OGs, and you get lock them up, so they gonna be confused and just having youngsters in the street, and they kind of break up the movement, and you keep the OGs off of the street for quite a while, and then tell somebody. Until this next generation come of age. So they gonna be out of, the police hair, and they're gonna be out of the federal, feds hair for, 2 or 3 years until they start getting it together again. That's how they, they'll break down the hood or whatever. Because you see it's very common in hoods where it's just youngsters running the hoods and the OG, and that's why everything is pretty much at where it's at.
It's going to be very, very, very weird to see Tekashi walking around free, knowing that he told on that many people, walking around with a big security team of cats.
But I mean, dude, it's crazy. Does he go back to New York? We was talking about this last night, and my neighbor, he's youngster, I mean, I'd say maybe mid to late 20s, and we're talking about him doing that, and I with the East Coast, they operate different than what we do out here, because we were discussing if somebody out here did that, and it's not even, they don't even have to be a high profile case, but it's just somebody on the streets is cooperating, what's going to happen is the streets is going to go ahead and get what's close to them. And look what happened to Nipsey's people, the cat that got Nipsey. what happened, you know what I mean? Like, they going for the family. It's like you're not even gonna hit the stand before your family get touched. And if they stay in the same area and they moved out, your family's gonna get touched before you can even cooperate. And that's, you know what I mean? That's how it work over here. Like, you washed. I don't understand how they operate like that back east. You know, nobody's been touched. There's nothing been threatened. And, you know,
well,
allowed
I mean,
him
do you
to
think that's
testify.
just because the feds came in? I mean, we don't have any examples that I know of on the West Coast say, look, feds came in, old boy told, and nobody got touched. You know, because we do have a few examples. Allegedly, Fora cooperated with the police or whatever, and he had some street funk for a minute, but he been chilling as of late. Got stores and shit like that. You know, doesn't, you know, and again, we don't know what happens behind the scenes.
But Fora wasn't on no Rico shit. Fora was a fucking after school brawl. And
He's in an after school brawl.
He got cut up in the after school brawl, and somebody had a knife, and you know what I mean. They fucking stabbed him up or whatever, and that was it. They didn't shoot him or no shit like that. He was just, you know, he was involved in some tagger shit.
Oh, so he wasn't banging. It was one of these little tagging crews.
It's tagger shit, and then, you know, motherfuckers came with the knife and pierced him up a little bit, and you know what I mean, left him there. But you know, it was nothing severe. You know, it ain't like a motherfucker ran to his crib. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Ran to his crib, ran up on his front door, and took him out like that. It was after school.
Right.
After school, and the motherfuckers caught him after school.
Yeah, nah.
So.
I mean, there isn't really anything to reference, but I would imagine that we talked about this last episode, but in all honesty, yeah, there's a whole lot of snitches walking around New York, very comfortable right now, that are known publicly known.
That's what I'm saying.
And so it'll be interesting to see him, you know, come home, put out some music. There's been a couple people who said, yeah, I'll produce his next single, I'll work with them. I ain't got nothing to do with all that, you know. I like him as an artist. So
that's crazy, bro. I mean, they, like I said, they operate different over there.
It's not crazy, man, because niggas is still bumping R. Kelly. So I mean, it's the same shit.
What you mean? That's not snitching, though.
So okay, what's snitching? Fucking little girls, or what's worse? Fucking little girls are snitching.
I mean,
I'd rather be associated with a snitch than a nigga
both
fucking
are
little
bad.
kids.
I mean, both are bad, but nobody's recording with the motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like,
Kel's recorded. There's tapes, motherfucker.
No, I'm saying nobody's recording music and shit. Oh, I'm gonna work with Kels when he get out and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like, they're not trying to go ahead and they're not trying to further the legacy or, you know what I mean, do anything like that.
Right, but it's done. But when the video was out, we got Best of Both Worlds too. I mean, he was still jumping on remixes, and you know what I mean. He had the "I'm a Flirt" with T.I.
I've never seen the video, so
"I'm a Flirt," the R. Kelly T.I. remix, that was way after the videotape. So, you know, I understand someone like yourself who's a solid individual. You come from a certain cloth where that is not tolerated whatsoever, and so I'm just talking about society-wise, where it's like, yeah, we feel a certain way about something, but the rest of these people, they don't care.
I feel you.
Yeah, they just, hey, does he make good music? I like his energy. This
it's
and
a
that.
different moral compass. Of
yeah,
what
it
they have
definitely
right now.
is. And so he's gonna come home, and it's gonna. I want to see just who embraces him.
I think everybody that embraced him in the first place, because it wasn't really the streets that embraced him. It was the kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think the kids is gonna still rock with him. You know, they're gonna get Tekashi and Drake at the same show, and you know, shit, it sell out the stadium.
I don't think Jay Prince will co-sign that. I don't think Jay Prince is not letting Drake go anywhere near Tekashi 6ix9ine.
Well, I didn't think about the Jay Prince aspect of the shit, but if Jay Prince was out of that equation, then
that shit, they probably would have already had records. You know what I mean? Tekashi and the Drakey. Oh, speaking of that, so I didn't hear it, but Nicki Minaj unretired to drop a new song and shit like that. So she was
retired for fucking
a couple weeks,
shit.
Some shit like that. So I think she's on Atlantic. I think Atlantic probably got on the phone and like, what the fuck are you doing? You know what I mean? You know, I'm sure Apple was like, Queen Radio, remember that? We gave you a bag for that. You and old boy, you know, flashing guns on Instagram and all kinds of crazy shit. You got a job to do, boo. You need to get back in that. You need to get back in that studio and scream on somebody.
Yeah, or refund us some money.
Yeah.
Our ass was in the studio.
In the studio. That's man. And what else? What else was I talking about earlier, or thinking about some things that have transpired, man?
Man, shout out to Snoop and the Brodus family.
Oh
Condolences
man,
for
yeah, definitely.
his son and grandson. Man, that's
Yeah, for those who haven't
very
heard,
sad.
his oldest grandson, or his oldest son, gave birth to a son, boy, about 2 weeks back, and unfortunately, the infant, passed on today. So you're right, man. Condolences
Condolences
to the family, man. That's
tough thing.
I can't imagine losing the child. You know what I mean? And we're both blessed to have healthy children, and that's real life, man. No matter how rich, no matter famous, no matter how powerful you are, real life still happens. And you think that in that situation, that's probably the furthest thing from, as Americans, that's the furthest thing from our lives. You know what I mean? I mean, you live somewhere else, third world country, there probably it's a true blessing to deliver a baby and the baby to come full term and things like that. If you look at some of the mortality rate numbers on these women who give birth, in other countries, it's very high. Here in the United States, not so much. So yeah, you just take that type of shit for granted, man. You know what I mean? You just think everything's going to be okay. And unfortunately, something like this happens, man. So definitely, condolences to the entire, Brodus family, man. And hopefully, they can find the love within the family to go ahead and push on and honor this, the life that they lost, man. Very sad thing, man. Definitely. Summer's over, and we're heading into this fourth quarter. And musically, I just want to ask you your thoughts. Like this year kind of seemed like it just kind of came and went when it came to hip hop and music in general. What say you, Son Kapone?
I know. I'm just kind of moved along. You know what I mean? This kind of just went through the motions. There was nothing spectacular, nothing big, nothing major.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think probably the most major thing to me was the J in the NFL and running that. But I mean, cats are getting. It's improving musically, but I don't know, man. It's just nothing that just stood out. You know what I mean? This year, it was just kind of just a go through the motions type. This was your it was like a 48th year of marriage. You know what I mean? The coffee gonna be there in the morning. Your oatmeal gonna be the right temperature and shit like that. But you go read the paper and watch the news, and that's pretty much what's gonna consist of your day. That's what the fuck's going on with hip hop right now.
So is that more of the music, or is that us? Are we at that age where it's like we ain't got time to really look into a whole lot, or do you feel it's just the music is the culture itself?
I think it's everything. You know, I mean, as far as we're so busy and shit like that. Like, I mean, I'm guilty. The last time that I sat down and listened to a full fucking album, you know what I mean? I tried to listen to the Little Brother, and I got through about maybe 70% of it, and I loved it. But I still never got back to go listen to the other 30. You know what I mean?
Right.
We're talking probably about fucking 4 tracks at most. You know what I mean?
But was that so? I know you liked the album, but if you liked the album, if you're like, man, this is a great fucking album, would have that brought you back? Or because I gave it 2 spins max as well. And I'm a big Little Brother fan. I heard it. I was like, hey, good to hear him. But I didn't go back though. It's not in rotation right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So again, is that just we've heard so much and we've seen so much within hip hop and experienced so many highs, new experiences, that now we're at a point where it's like, what else can you give us? Like the 48th year of marriage. Like, what the fuck else can you do?
I don't know. The raisins ain't in the oatmeal with shit right now, man. That shit plain, and you got a little bit of cinnamon, but that's about it. I mean, like I said, it was refreshing to hear it. But fuck, man. I don't know. I just don't think enough artists in the music is just not really pushing the limits as far as thinking outside of the box and the creativity. Like, motherfuckers are lyrically nice, but I just think the creativity, the content, everything is more focused on the visuals. You know what I mean? it's like our women. We value the look of our women more than what we value the intelligence and the strength behind them.
And
you know
quality
what I mean?
Bars, son. Yeah, definitely.
You know.
Speaking of visuals, so we didn't discuss this, but Ja Rule said some shit last week that he was gonna release.
This motherfucker's going to Denny's and getting the half off senior deal and shit. Man.
He was gonna release his entire music catalog as videos. So and he was asking the fans which videos they wanted to see him do that never had videos before.
Did these motherfuckers really respond? Like
some people did. I'm not gonna lie. There were some responses, but like, what do you think creeps into some of these artists' minds? You know, like Busy recently rolled out his album as if it was like, you know, something super duper major. You know what I mean? And like, what do you think's in these folks' mind? Like, are they not able to understand that? Currently, again, in this climate of hip hop, that it just ain't it, Jack. It ain't happening for you. Nobody's checking. No one's checking for a Ja Rule fucking videography or whatever they call it. I'm not.
No, of course. Yeah, we got to trade. Man, I wish I had some fucking money. The baby beach waves again and shit. like, man, hey, with these guys holding hip hop, man, is fucking phenomenal. You know what I mean? I can't even knock Ja Rule. You know what I mean?
No, you can't knock Ja.
I wasn't a fan of the shit.
Never.
But shit, probably every woman I've dated, you know, from that fucking 3 to 5 year span that he was popping, hey, Ja Rule probably got me some new, you know, 70% of the time and shit. But like I said, they have their place in hip hop, man, and like I said, we honor that. But I think it's just ego, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They think that because they had their place, that Doc Brown is in the motherfucking driveway and, you know, going to go ahead and instead of going, not go back to time, but bring the time back to us to go ahead and relive it. You know what I mean?
Like, hey, don't forget, I was the man.
I'm the
and
dude.
I'm trying to be the dude again type of shit.
And I'm a humble cat, man. And I respect any accomplishments that a man has done. And regardless where he's at today, whatever the contribution was, you know, I'm forever grateful. You know what I mean? As far as where they brought the art form to, but man, these guys gotta let it go, man.
Yeah, I think he's on like Growing Up Hip Hop now or something like that with his kids. I could be wrong, but yeah, I mean, I agree with you. A lot of these guys are constantly reminding of us how relevant they are in a way that they're still trying to introduce their music. You know, now people will listen and be like, well, that's contradictory, D, because earlier in this episode you just said old dudes and hip hop legends need to do more radio interviews and things of that nature.
No, of course.
And there's a difference between going and telling your story rather than trying to get people to listen to your story, but also validate you currently in the current climate. You know, it's just no one is. You know, I don't know if he's still fucking with Irv like that, but that's just a horrible idea. Yeah. You know what I mean?
He just feeling himself and probably, you know, a little hen or, you know,
whatever
the fuck he's sipping. Whatever he's sipping, you know, got him charged up.
I wonder if he's going to be the next Def Jam signing to the
he
icon.
He deserves it. You know what I mean? I ain't mad.
I wonder who owns his masters, because that's a lot of bread, man. That's a lot of bread.
Them, right? Well, you know.
I have no idea.
It may be him. Well, not rappers, bro. Ashanti on hers, so
yeah.
Man, Ashanti got some paper, ain't she looking good? You know what? Ashanti might be on my hit list.
But, okay, so Dan, let me ask you this question. So why is she not wifed up? Like, you see her out there, and she's obviously showing people this is the goods, this is what I'm working with, but I mean, we know nothing. We ain't seen. The last picture I seen of her and a dude was her and Nelly, I think right? Nelly. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I haven't seen her and a dude.
I think.
I just don't know. Like,
well, it's crazy because, and this is where I feel bad for women, is because when real successful women sacrifice, you know, families and kids and the building because they're so focused on their career. And I think with Ashanti, I mean, because. Like Beyonce's another one where she has a family, but you know what I mean? Somebody else is carrying the kid and she's wearing a pillow in her stomach. You know what I mean? That's her carrying Blue Ivy and shit like that. And, you know, Blue Ivy probably know the nanny better than her mama. You know what I mean? So, you know, like they sacrifice that to hold their standing with their career.
With their
now,
careers.
unfortunately, with Ashanti, she's not.
Yeah, she's
not
the
on
type
the
of run
status
right.
of Beyonce, but she's still a working woman and she's still getting paid and she's still, carrying out her dream. So I just think that, she's probably not dating like that. She don't got free time to be, meeting new people and, investing and all that type of stuff. So I think that
so you think she's just grinding to continue to live that lifestyle that she was once living when she was popping?
Yeah, so, you know what I mean? Shit, baby girl, she was what, 18, 19 when she got into it? So
I think so,
this is all she know, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
this is all she know, and nothing wrong with trying to preserve it, man. Shit, Tekashi had this shit for a year and a half, shit, she's had it for over 18 to 20, you know what I mean? So
yeah. It's always been a question of mine because everybody, praises her as far as how she looks. And a lot of cats, man, Ashanti this, Ashanti that. But you never heard anybody trying to shoot their shot.
You know what I mean? Cold, but what if Ashanti was overdosed and she just had a little woman on the low?
I mean, I wouldn't care. I
know nobody would care, but I'm just saying.
But even in this time, I think if she would have, maybe she's not comfortable with living that, if that's what it is. But even in this time, if she came out and said, I'm a lesbian, okay. She'd have a new
fuck, that should be celebrated. Motherfuckers that have pom-poms and she'd be on CNN and shit,
I'd be like, all right, cool.
Of course, I don't think it would be bothersome, but like I said, man, women have much more of an image to protect because,
especially industry-wise.
Well, industry-wise, in that when women is the core following of your fan base. I mean, with men it's different because men can be however the fuck they want and women are gonna follow, but women are very judgmental on other women. So with that, if she carry herself the wrong way, you can lose them. You can lose them real quick, and then with women, you're not getting them back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's no fucking flowers and Hallmark cards that's gonna help you go ahead and re-spark that shit.
I remember when Alicia Keys and Swizz went public with their relationship and the backlash that she got. She was everybody's favorite female. You couldn't talk bad about Alicia Keys until that went down, and then it was like,
Badu is better.
Badu is better. Shout out to Badu, man. The I don't want to say the MC creator, but you get what Badu. I think your MC level goes up by like 10 points. I truly think so.
I just wonder what kind of conversations you be having with motherfuckers and shit like that. Like
with Badu, I mean, it's
like, what do you think she's telling these cats? You know what I mean?
She's just telling them about probably knowledge of self, their aura, shit they've never heard of before for the most part. You know what I mean? Like shit. You never heard that, especially coming from a sister. And again, I don't want to make it sound like Erykah Badu is the only sister out there talking about chakra's aura's knowledge of self and shit. No, I'm not saying that.
But it's rare and few.
But I'm saying these rap niggas is not bumping into, that caliber of a woman on
Yeah, when you bump into Sharif from Charlotte and shit.
Yeah, right. Shit, she trying to
know your hook. She don't even know 2 bars.
Right. She trying to cut it up and hit the Waffle House.
Rapper.
Yeah, I like you. You bad and bougie. She trying to cut it up and fucking hit the Waffle House. So $200,000 is what it costs to get your song to be placed in heavy radio rotation. Big shout, $200,000. Big shout outs to I think it was what's his name, Coach QC from Quality Control or whatever, was doing some sort of I guess one of these little panel interviews where he sits down, lets the audience talk to him or whatnot, and someone had asked this question in regards to how much does it cost to get radio play, and he said, so basically I'm gonna put you on game. It's $200,000 to get your single on the radio.
But that's kind of an open-ended question because $200,000, what market are you putting that shit on? Because you know what I mean, like I think it's like if you're going to major markets, Chicago, LA, New York, I think it's gonna be way more than fucking 200. But if you're trying to get fucking popping in Boise, then that 200 might suffice. Boise and fucking
I think that's
St. Louis or some shit.
Right. I think what he was saying was that the $200,000 goes to getting it not just on one market, in all the markets.
So
you know what I mean?
So just domestically throughout the United
Right,
States.
because you're messing with the, and I don't know what the names of the
networks
of who owns the Power 106s and shit like that. But at one point it was Emerson.
It's pretty much
communications. Intercom was doing their thing at one point. So you pay someone like an Intercom, let's say, and I would imagine 200,000 is gonna get you cascaded across the shit. Oh, what was the name of that? The something stimulus package, but Iggy Azalea definitely benefited from that. That was facts. You turn on the radio every 15 minutes. You could go from your traditional hip hop station, you hearing whatever. You could turn to the top 40 station, you hearing whatever. You turn to the whatever station, you hearing the same shit, like in unison, in minutes of one another. You know what I mean? So the iHeart, that iHeart stimulus package at one point was that shit that you wanted. You wanted that push. So, man, that's a lot of money, though, for,
little
play. It's recoupable, most likely, because I'm sure that that's something that, it's coming out of your budget. I'm sure that, the radio, or I'm sure your label's just not giving that a freebie to you. We're going to go ahead and hook you up. Yeah. But, I mean, $200,000 to get your record on the radio is versus $200,000 of spending that money in a multimedia, social media environment.
You could probably take, to be honest with you, about 15 to 20. Get your visuals up, get the track cleared, marked, or mastered. Put good quality your covers and all that stuff, and then shit. That other 170 just go into fucking mass marketing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Force feed the fuck. Man, shit, you could probably take 100 into mass marketing, take the other 70, you know what I mean? Fucking get your fucking visual guy, fucking go sit on a fucking Brooklyn stool, count your money out like Tekashi and blow the fuck up that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just acting a fool, dyeing your hair purple, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, because
hey, bitch.
Yeah, I mean, if we're to believe what Mr. Hernandez was saying, they didn't spend a lot of money in that first video. And they were able to, that shit blew the fuck up. And so we've seen other shit virally happen, babies getting kicked in the nuts, and dogs sniffing funky coochies or whatever that get all these hits and likes. So it's crazy to me that people would even pay that type of money.
I mean,
you know what I mean?
I think about it, because if you got it, see, and this is why music is so cheap right now, is because to make all the shit happen, I mean, other than the marketing, all that other shit is chump change. Because if you think about, the fuck was Hype Williams directing all them videos, $2-3 million budgets, you can get a Hype Williams for $700. You know what I mean?
Now in this day and age,
and then the Pharrell features and shit, paying $1.5 million for a fucking beat. You can go get a fucking beat. You know what I mean? An
a lot of these cats are getting these sound.
You can get an exclusive for fucking 8-9. I know some dope ass fucking producers. You can get an exclusive for $800-900. You know what I mean? With the sample cleared. So you can keep pushing all these fucking singles. It's not the music that costs you. It's just how the fuck you want to market and what the fuck you want to push across. You know what I mean? And that's where these cats is winning.
Let me ask you, if you had the opportunity to spend $200,000 to have the number one song in New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, or to have the number one song trending on YouTube, what would you rather have?
I'd probably go with the cities, because the city's going to drive what's on YouTube. Because you're going to hear somebody and everybody knows you, like, how did that motherfucker look? Who the fuck is this? I've never heard of him before. And, at least it give you going to get driven traffic on YouTube. So, you would just make sure that the concept was creative as far as what's attracting them to YouTube.
Yeah.
That
I'm with you. I thought you said you were going to go with the cities, but it sounded like you're going with YouTube.
No. The cities, and then open up to YouTube.
I'm going with YouTube. Yeah. Because that's global. There's somebody in Japan right now. If I'm number one trending and they pull up number one trending video on YouTube, it's my shit. So you don't, if you go with the cities,
I think with the cities though, the movement's still starting the fucking streets. You know what I mean? And then with the streets,
that's not true though. I mean, Tekashi had no street movement. He had a viral video movement. A lot of these dudes nowadays don't really have,
You're right.
Slim?
You're
What's
right.
what's the
'Cause
little
was
what's
the
the little
last
dude?
time you know what?
Slim Jesus. He didn't have a street movement.
Now you know what? We'll pose this question for this week, man.
Okay.
When's the last time motherfuckers listened to the radio?
Okay.
You know what I
On
mean?
average, that's
Because I know I haven't listened to the shit in probably in years. You know what I mean?
Only time I hear the radio is when my mother-in-law is cleaning the house and she's playing, K-Love or some shit like that.
Yeah.
I haven't heard regular hip hop radio. And then when I do see real shit.
No, I'm just laughing because I'm over here thinking like fucking Rick Rubin and shit with the radio playing shit.
And when I do hear shit that takes place on the radio, I see it visually
first
on social media. So Big Boy's interviewing somebody, Nick Cannon's interviewing somebody, CC's interviewing somebody. I'm seeing that. I'm not hearing it. You know what I mean? So and that's my point. My point is I'm not giving $200,000 to a radio station to spin any of my shit. When I can invest that same amount of money, I'm pretty sure you can call Leor Cohen and them up at YouTube Music or whatnot and say, hey, I got $200,000. What's that going to go ahead and get me? You know what I mean? Because that's globally, that's a big fish right now, man. You know, until the system changes or something changes, this is the way it is, man.
Yeah, because you don't like the kids and shit don't even listen to the radio. I doubt that they even listen to the shit because they're just streaming what the fuck they got there on Apple and
they're not fucking with the radio.
Shit, so.
You know what I mean? They're doing their own thing, streaming. I'm finally messing with the iTunes, Apple iTunes. I only was messing with it to go ahead and look for podcasts and things of that nature, but I started actually messing with the music part and to search and find what you need and set up how you need to set up everything is so easy. Where it's just like, okay, you know what I mean? I definitely don't need to pull out any of my old dusty CDs anymore. Don't need to do any of that. It's just all there for whatever it is, $9 a month. You know what I mean? Very easy. It is what it is, And so that is the wave and will be the wave until, they've embedded these songs in our brain and we can access them whenever we want to.
Plug your head in.
Yeah, shout out to Elon Musk or whatever his name is, trying to make that computer brain. Weirdo. Cure cancer or some shit first. Don't need no computer brains. Fucking heal our people. But assignment before we get out of here, man. Anything you wanna say before we wrap this up?
Pretty much covered it.
Yeah, not a lot going on, man. This was a very slow week, man. So we just want to thank everybody for rocking with us. Again, this has been an honest conversation about hip hop. Yours truly, hip hop hold head. And we're here with me as well, Son Kapone. Go ahead and check us out on Google Play. Actually, just go to Google and type in an honest conversation about hip hop. Bring in all of our episodes there that you can actually get through the Google app. As always, we're on Libsyn. We're on iTunes. We're anywhere you can find quality podcasts. Again, thank you for rocking with us. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode of an honest conversation about hip hop. Until then, peace.